Halo? Habari yako? Eh?
On Monday around 10:45 a.m., Deputy President Gachagua received an important call. At the time, Mr. Gachagua was in a meeting with close family members and his legal team at his official current residence, preparing for his address to the National Assembly during his impeachment proceedings the following day. It is the kind of a call that for a man facing the battle of his lifetime as he was, would have evoked mixed emotions. Either he was getting help at his hour of need, or his troubles were about to get worse. On the line was President William Ruto. Mr. Gachagua and his boss had not spoken since the last time they had met at the Jomo Kenyatta International Airport, JKIA, in July. Mr. Gachagua would later reveal in subsequent media interviews as the push to impeach him became public that their encounter did not end well. This is why the call from his boss only hours to his appearance before MPs in the last-ditch efforts to save his political career wasn't a routine. Mr. Gachagua was optimistic and had hoped the president had either called to ensure him all would be well or to grant him an opportunity to patch up their differences. However, some of them too was the reason for the president's call. It took less than a minute for the president to pass his message to his deputy. At the end of the call, it was clear to Mr. Gachagua that he was on his own. Multiple sources close to the DP and familiar with the dramatic events said prior to the call, Mr. Gachagua had sent emissaries to the president in final attempt to save himself. The peace mission had failed, which points to the dramatic tension elicited by that call on Monday. It emerged later that on Sunday, on the same day, Mr. Gachagua publicly sought forgiveness from his boss and MPs at a church service. President Ruto had met a group of religious leaders who were on a mission to reconcile the two. Catholic Bishop Anthony Muhiria, ACK Archbishop James Ole Sapit, SDA leaders Samson Nyamberi, and leaders of evangelical churches were among those who spearheaded efforts to broker truce between the DP and President Ruto. The clerics had sought to find out the reason for the fallout between the two leaders and what it would take to reconcile them. According to sources privy to discussions, the president said his deputy had estranged most MPs with his abrasiveness. He also accused Mr. Gachagua of fighting government policies and not publicizing projects being implemented in Mount Kenya. But even more grave, the president reported to have alluded to a scheme by his deputy that was the source of their irreconcilable differences. After the Sunday meeting, the governor added the president promised that he would have follow-up meeting with the religious leaders the following day, but this did not happen. Mr. Kahiga said it on Monday on the eve of the impeachment proceedings in the National Assembly. He personally called some MPs from Mount Kenya who were among the 291 who had signed the motion, hoping to persuade them to support Mr. Gachagua. Yesterday, lawyer Danston Omar, speaking on behalf of Mr. Nyambere, who had also lodged a case in court challenging the public participation exercise on the ouster of Mr. Gachagua, confirmed the attempts to reconcile the two leaders. He said the reason why these dear leaders had moved to court was that they felt that only option left to save the country after the church-led initiatives had failed was throughout the courts. The petition by the SDA Church is scheduled for directions today. Mr. Omar added the request by the SDA Church is for the Chief Justice Martha Koome to form a bench that will hear the petition. It has also emerged that ahead of Mr. Gachagua's trial next week, the Senate efforts are still ongoing to reconcile the two leaders before the final vote. But the renewed efforts are not going down well, with some members of the National Assembly, which overwhelmingly voted to send or impeach the DP. Insiders within the presidency have confided that the MPs have told the president they would not entertain a deal that stalls the impeachment process. The impeachment of Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua could trigger major political shifts ahead of the 2027 polls if the voting patterns in the National Assembly during the host motion on Tuesday is anything to go by. The pattern did not mirror the 2022 election in which President William Ruto's Kenya Kwanza competed against Raila Odinga's Azimio la Umoja One Kenya Coalition Party. Mr. Odinga, the leader of the Orange Democratic Movement (ODM), which has in recent months leaned towards Dr. Ruto's United Democratic Alliance, would have voted with the ruling party to remove Mr. Gachagua from office, revealing the possibilities of a coalition arrangements. President William had in July co-opted some of Mr. Odinga's key lieutenants into his cabinet with Dr. Oburu Odinga, Mr. Odinga's elder brother, hinting at a possible working arrangements with the head of state. Both the National Assembly majority and minority leaders Kimani Ichung'wah and Junaid Mohammed respectively spoke passionately for the deep impeachment on the floor of the House on Tuesday, rallying their troops in the cause. In the end, at the least 282 MPs vote in support of the motion against 44 who favored backed the second in command. It was also clear that Mr. Odinga's Azimio coalition, on whose ticket he contested the 2022 presidential election, was divided after majority of Wiper leader Kalonzo Musyoka lieutenants broke ranks with Mr. Odinga's ODM to vote in favor of the DP. Already there are clear indications that the ouster of the DP, whether successful or not, will have serious political ramifications. Various political factions could reposition themselves to secure a foothold in the power vacuum left behind. They would likely lead to new alliance as both ruling and opposition camps scramble to fill the gap. The changes would influence power dynamics both in the executive and within the key political parties as the different leaders seek to leverage the opportunity to boost their influence ahead of future elections.